You are fired." The words echoed in the mostly empty electronics aisle, followed by the smug, self-satisfied grin of the man who just uttered them. My jaw hung open. Fired? From what, exactly? I didn't work here. I was just trying to buy a new gaming headset. My afternoon of peaceful retail therapy had officially, spectacularly gone to hell. Let me rewind a bit. I'm Ethan, and usually my biggest shopping problem is deciding between two different brands of headphones. Not today. Today my problem was her. I was minding my own business, comparing specs on a display model, when this woman, a walking stereotype of entitlement, materialized beside me. Picture it. Perfectly coiffed blonde hair, designer sunglasses perched on her head despite being indoors, and a purse that probably cost more than my car. "Excuse me," she snapped, jabbing a perfectly manicured finger at a box. "Are you just going to stand there all day, or are you going to help a paying customer?" I blinked. Sorry ma'am, but I don't actually work here." I gestured vaguely at my t-shirt and jeans, a far cry from the store's blue polos. Her eyes narrowed into slits. "Don't give me that. You're clearly wearing a name tag," she pointed. I glanced down. Nothing. Not even a stray sticker. I started to explain again, but she cut me off, her voice rising in pitch. "You think you're so clever, huh? Trying to avoid helping a customer. Let me tell you, I know the manager, and he's going to hear about this little stunt of yours, you lazy, incompetent piece of..." That's when it started to get ugly. She launched into a full-blown tirade, calling me everything from useless to a bitch. Yeah, seriously, all because I wouldn't drop everything to fetch her some obscure gadget she couldn't find. I tried, genuinely, to walk away, to diffuse it, but she just followed, her insults getting more personal and aggressive. "Look, lady, I've told you 3 times. I don't work here. Just stop." I finally snapped, my patience worn thinner than an old t-shirt. "That was my mistake." Her face purpled. "Oh, you want to get rude with me? You think you can talk to a customer like that and get away with it? I'll have your job. You won't know what hit you." Just as I was about to really lose my cool and tell her exactly what I thought of her entitled attitude, a man rounded the corner. He was a stocky guy, late 40s, with a permanent scowl etched into his face. And, oh joy, he was wearing a store manager's polo shirt. "What's going on here?" he boomed, looking straight at me like I was the source of all evil. The woman immediately softened, morphing into a damsel in distress. "Oh honey, thank goodness you're here. This person has been absolutely dreadful. Refused to help me, then started insulting me when I asked for assistance. Said he wasn't an employee, but he's clearly just trying to shirk his duties. He even called me names." My jaw dropped. The outright lies. "Hold on, I didn't call her names. She called me names and I told her repeatedly I don't work here," I protested, gesturing between myself and the manager. "I was just shopping." The manager didn't even spare me a glance. He put a comforting arm around the woman. "Is that right, sweetie? He called you names?" He glared at me, his eyes colder than a freezer aisle. "You heard the lady? You think you can treat my wife like that?" My brain stalled. His wife? Of course. It all clicked into place. This wasn't just some random jerk. This was a power-tripping husband defending his equally insufferable spouse, completely blind to reality. "Your wife?" I repeated, dumbfounded. "That changes nothing. I still don't work here. She accosted me for no reason." He stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "I don't care what you think you do or don't do. You spoke disrespectfully to a customer, my wife, in my store. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior from anyone, especially not my staff." He then delivered the line that started this story. "You are fired." I actually laughed. A short, incredulous bark. "Fired? From what exactly? I'm not your employee. I was just trying to buy headphones, dude. You can't fire me for a job I don't have." He just scoffed. "Oh, I think I can. I'm the manager here, and I'm telling you, you're out. Get your items, pay, and get out of my store. Don't let me see you back here again." The sheer audacity of it left me speechless. Humiliated, bewildered, and honestly a little shaken. I just wanted out. I grabbed my headset, went to the checkout, and paid for my purchase, feeling a dozen pairs of eyes on me, even though I knew most people probably hadn't paid attention. As I was practically speedwalking towards the exit, I bumped into one of the actual store clerks, a younger guy with tired eyes who'd helped me find the right section earlier. He saw my face, saw the red flush of anger and embarrassment, and just gave a wry smile. "Rough one, huh?" he mumbled, pushing a cart of returns. "You wouldn't believe it," I muttered, quickly relaying the whole insane story, including the "you're fired" part. He just shook his head, a small, knowing chuckle escaping him. "Yeah, that sounds about right. Manager's wife is a piece of work, thinks she owns the place. And he's just as bad. Total power trip, especially when she's around. Don't worry about it, man. He fires people who don't even work here all the time when she's causing a scene. You dodged a bullet, trust me." Hearing that, a strange sense of relief washed over me, mixed with the lingering indignation. It wasn't just me, it was them. My day had been utterly ruined by two spectacularly awful people, but at least I wasn't alone in recognizing their toxicity. Still, as I stepped out into the sunlight, headset in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling of pure absurdity. Being fired from a job I didn't have? Yeah, that's one for the books. Always check your uniform, fellas. Or, just pray you don't run into a Karen and her equally unhinged husband.
All right, the last story is wild, and it's not what you think. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next round.
Look, I've had some weird grocery store experiences. I've seen people argue over the last organic avocado, witnessed a full-blown meltdown because a kid wanted glitter on their fruit snacks. But nothing prepared me for the day I got accused of lying about a mythical tampon stuffer and ended up pressing charges against a complete stranger. This isn't just a story about entitlement, it's about pure, unadulterated absurdity. It all started innocently enough. My mom and I were doing our weekly grocery run, splitting up to conquer the aisles more efficiently. I was chilling in the produce section, meticulously inspecting some avocados when I heard a voice chime. "Oh, hey. You're the one who helped me find those fancy olives last week, aren't you?" I looked up. It was a woman I vaguely remembered, a little older, maybe mid-50s, with a stern, no-nonsense look. I had helped her, actually. She couldn't reach a jar of Kalamata olives on the top shelf, and I, being taller, just grabbed it for her. A simple shopper-to-shopper courtesy, nothing more. Yeah, that was me," I replied, giving a polite nod, already regretting it a little. "My mistake. A fatal error, apparently." She beamed, a little too brightly. "Perfect. Listen, I need your help finding something specific today. It's for personal hygiene." She leaned in conspiratorially, as if we were sharing classified intel. "I need a tampon stuffer." My brain actually hitched. "A what now?" I asked, genuinely confused, my hand still hovering over a perfectly ripe avocado. I'd never heard of such a thing. My mind scrolled through every menstrual product I'd ever seen, applicators, cups, pads, liners, all of it. Nothing rang a bell. She straightened up, an impatient sigh escaping her lips. "A tampon stuffer. A device you put tampons into? It's not rocket science, honey. Just point me in the right direction." Her tone had already soured, like I was deliberately wasting her time. I blinked, then a nervous chuckle bubbled up. "Ma'am, I'm really sorry, but I honestly don't think that's a real thing. I've never ever heard of a tampon stuffer." "Maybe you mean an applicator," I offered, trying to be helpful, trying to save her from embarrassing herself further. Her face, previously stern, now contorted into something genuinely ugly. "Are you calling me a liar?" She practically shrieked, her voice echoing a little too loudly through the quiet produce aisle. A few shoppers turned their heads. "Of course it's a real thing. I saw it on the internet. You just don't want to help me because you're lazy." "Ma'am, I don't work here," I said, holding my hands up in a placating gesture. "I'm just another customer, and I really don't think what you're asking for exists. I mean, tampons come with applicators, or you can get non-applicator ones." "Don't give me that garbage," she snarled, taking a step closer, her index finger jabbing aggressively towards my chest. "You helped me last week. You clearly work here. Now you're just refusing to do your job and lying to my face. You're going to find me a tampon stuffer, or I'm getting you fired." Her finger actually poked my chest with each accusatory word, and that's when my patience evaporated. "Hey, don't touch me," I snapped, swatting her hand away. "I told you I don't work here, and there's no such thing as a tampon stuffer." Her eyes widened in a rage, and before I could react, she actually shoved me. Not hard enough to send me sprawling, but definitely a deliberate, aggressive push. "You little liar. I want your manager right now," she bellowed, her face flushed crimson, spit flying. At that moment, my mom, who'd probably heard the commotion from the dairy aisle, rounded the corner. Her eyes went wide as she took in the scene, me backing away, and this woman practically vibrating with fury, pointing a shaking finger at me. "Jace, what in the world is going on?" Mom demanded, rushing over. "This woman shoved me because I told her tampon stuffers aren't real and that I don't work here," I exclaimed, still a bit stunned by the shove. "Oh, you called for backup, did you?" The woman sneered at my mom. "Well, good. You can both get fired. I want to speak to your manager immediately." My mom, bless her, didn't even skip a beat. She pulled out her phone. "Honey, go stand over there by the avocados. I'll get the real manager." She then dialed 911. "Yes, hello, I'm at the store name grocery store on street name. My son has just been assaulted and harassed by another customer." "Yes, she physically pushed him." The woman's jaw dropped. "Assault? I just gave him a little push. He was being insolent." Within minutes, the store manager, a harried young man named Mark, appeared, looking thoroughly annoyed by the commotion. My mom quickly explained the situation, pointing to the enraged woman who was now trying to look innocent. Mark listened patiently, then glanced around. "Ma'am," he said, addressing the woman, "I've reviewed the security footage from this aisle before. There's a high-definition camera right there." He pointed to a dome camera directly above us. "Everything you've done, including pushing this young man, has been recorded." The color drained from her face faster than milk expires. Her eyes darted to the camera, then to the entrance. I just remembered I have to go," she stammered, making a frantic move to bolt. Too late. The distinct wail of sirens cut through the automatic door opening, and two uniformed officers walked in. My mom had been efficient. They took our statements, reviewed the footage with Mark, and confirmed everything. The woman, completely deflated and now weeping about a misunderstanding, was escorted out in handcuffs. I pressed charges for harassment and assault. It felt surreal. Walking out of that store, Mom squeezing my arm, I couldn't help but laugh a little, a slightly hysterical sound. "A tampon stuffer, Mom? Seriously?" Mom just shook her head, a tired smile on her face. "Some people, Jace, live in their own little world, and in their world, everyone else is just a background character put there to serve them. Even when you're just trying to buy a few avocados." It was a stark reminder that entitlement isn't just a mild annoyance. It can escalate into full-blown delusional aggression. So, next time you're at the grocery store, just remember if someone asks you for a tampon stuffer or any other mythical item, it's not you that's crazy, it's probably them. And for the love of all that is holy, don't help them reach anything off the top shelf. You just might get accused of being a lying employee.
"I don't believe you. I want to speak to your manager, or I'm calling corporate." Karen shrieked, her face a terrifying shade of puce, spit flying as she jabbed a finger inches from my nose. I just stood there, jaw practically on the floor, trying to comprehend how a simple afternoon had spiraled into this public spectacle. "Lady, I thought, I don't even work here." "Let me back up. My name's Jensen, and this all went down at one of those cavernous big box stores. It was one of those days from hell, you know. Our manager, bless his heart, was already running on fumes. He'd had to send one of our regular guys to another store that morning, leaving us ridiculously short-staffed. To make matters worse, my actual coworker and I were in the middle of a full-on store reset. Think moving every single shelf, every single product, in like 3 different departments. It was chaos, pure and simple. And then there was my other coworker, the one actually with me. Bless his spirit, he's a good guy, but he decided today was the day for peak casual. Showing up in sweatpants and an anime t-shirt, looking like he'd rolled straight out of bed and into the store. Now, I love anime as much as the next person, but when we're knee-deep in a store reset and customers are everywhere, it just wasn't the vibe, you know? It was just another little needle poking at my already frayed nerves. So, the store was a disaster zone. We were understaffed, and everyone was stressed. I was basically just trying to move heavy boxes and reorganize shelves, minding my own business when the first random customer approached me. "Excuse me," she said, holding up a bottle of moisturizer. "What do you think of this one? Is it any good?" I just stared blankly. I'm no skincare guru. I know if something feels greasy on my face, and that's about it. I'm really not sure," I mumbled. "I can't really recommend anything." She just shrugged and walked off, seemingly unbothered. I was relieved, but a small part of me groaned, knowing this was just the beginning. And then, Karen arrived. She stormed up to me, eyes already narrowed, and demanded, "Can you hop on a register? The lines are ridiculous." I blinked, then gave her my standard, polite smile. "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I actually don't work here. I'm just helping out a friend with a project." Her eyes practically bugged out. "You're not an employee?" Her voice dripped with disbelief, like I'd just told her I was secretly a unicorn. "No, really," I tried to explain. "I'm just a coworker assisting with a store reset. The manager asked for extra help." But she wasn't having it. Her face contorted, accusing, "You're lying. You're just being lazy and trying to avoid work. I saw you moving things around. You are an employee. Get on a register or I'm speaking to your manager about your insubordination." My blood pressure started to climb. This was exactly what I'd been dreading. I could see our manager, a dude named Mike, hustling through another aisle, already juggling 3 different crises. I tried to catch his eye, silently pleading for help, but he was deep in it. "Ma'am, I assure you I'm not an employee," I insisted, trying to keep my voice even. "I'm just here to assist with." "Don't you dare lie to me," she shrieked, drawing the attention of half the store. "Where is your manager? I want to report you right now for refusing to do your job." Mike, hearing the commotion, finally spotted us. He rushed over, looking utterly drained. "Is everything all right here?" he asked, trying to sound calm. "No, it is not." Karen immediately pivoted to him, pointing at me like I was a criminal. "This employee is refusing to work. She's lying about not working here and won't get on a register. I demand she be fired." Mike sighed, running a hand through his already messy hair. "Ma'am, I assure you Jensen doesn't actually work for the store. She's a colleague from another branch, just helping us out today with a specific project." You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Nope. Karen just got louder. "What? So you're covering for her? This is ridiculous. Both of you are incompetent. I demand to speak to a real manager, not some glorified babysitter." At this point, my patience snapped. I'd been hauling boxes, navigating a short-staffed mess, dealing with minor annoyances all day, and now this woman was publicly humiliating me and disrespecting Mike, who was doing his absolute best. I straightened up, looking her dead in the eye. "Hey, Karen," I said, my voice surprisingly steady despite the tremor in my hands. "You've been told twice now that I don't work here. If you don't want to listen to me or the actual manager of this store, that's fine. But you need to leave. You're creating a scene." Mike, bless him, nodded subtly, probably relieved someone else was stepping in. He then spoke up, his voice firm. "Jensen is right. We've explained the situation. If you continue to yell and refuse to leave, I'll have no choice but to call the police." Karen, however, seemed to have entered a different dimension of rage. "You can't make me leave. I'm a paying customer. I'll have your jobs. I'm calling corporate myself." She just kept screaming, drawing more and more stares. Mike gave her one last chance, a tired plea for her to calm down, but she just continued her tirade. With a defeated sigh, he pulled out his phone. "All right, that's enough. I'm calling them." It felt like forever, but eventually, 2 police officers walked through the sliding doors. Mike quickly explained the situation, pointing towards the still yelling Karen. The officers, clearly used to this kind of nonsense, approached her calmly but firmly. They tried to reason with her for a few minutes, but Karen was beyond reasoning. Eventually, they took her by the arms, still protesting and yelling about her rights, and escorted her out of the store. The relief that washed over me was immense, like a giant weight had been lifted. As she disappeared from sight, I actually felt a tiny flicker of something like pity. Maybe she was just having an epically bad day. But that flicker was quickly extinguished by the sheer exhaustion and annoyance she'd caused. My dominant thought was, good riddance. Mike clapped me on the shoulder, a grim but grateful smile on his face. "Thanks for stepping in, Jensen. That could have gone on all afternoon. I was just glad he had my back. I don't know if I could have handled that entirely on my own." After that whole ordeal, my coworker, the anime t-shirt one who'd wisely kept his head down during the whole spectacle, and I just looked at each other. We decided then and there that maybe, just maybe, we'd avoid helping out at this specific store during peak hours. Some days the stress just isn't worth it. So yeah, that was my day. A wild ride for sure. Definitely a story for the grandkids. But hey, it made me appreciate the good ones, and especially having a manager who knows how to deal with a truly unhinged Karen. Stay safe out there, Redditors.
This one fits right in with what you just saw.